What if I told you the stock market isn't run by people anymore? Not really. Not by the guys in suits yelling on the trading floor, not by your financial advisor, and not by the famous billionaires you see on TV. They're all playing a game that's already been won by something that isn't even human. You ever get that feeling? That feeling that no matter how hard you work, how much you save, or how smart you try to be with your money, you're still falling behind. Your salary goes up, but so does your rent, your groceries, your everything. You put money into your 401k like you're supposed to, but then you look at your statement and it's a sea of red for reasons nobody can seem to explain. It feels rigged. Well, I'm here to tell you that feeling is not in your head. There is a powerful, invisible force that has taken over the global financial markets, a force that operates at speeds we can't comprehend, making billions of decisions before you've even had your morning coffee. It's an AI, and it's quietly controlling the stock market. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how this robot works, why it makes you feel like you're constantly losing, and most importantly, how to play a different game, a game the machines can't win. For most of our parents' and grandparents' generation, the idea of investing was pretty simple. You find a good, solid company, a company that makes something people need, cars or soda or computers. You buy a small piece of that company, called a stock, and you just hold on to it. The logic was sound. If the company did well over the years, sold more products, and made more money, your little piece of it would become more valuable. It was a slow and steady race. And for a long time, this strategy actually worked. But that system, that slow, predictable world, is gone. The core reason why it fails today can be summed up in one word: speed. The old way of investing was like driving a horse and buggy. You could see the road ahead, make careful turns, and eventually get to your destination. Today's stock market isn't a road. It's a Formula One racetrack in the middle of a hurricane, and it's filled with supersonic jets. Note on market statistics. Currently, algorithmic trading, including high-frequency trading, accounts for an estimated 60 to 75% of the overall trading volume in the United States equity markets. In some volatile periods, this number can climb as high as 80%. While the average person is still trying to hitch up their horse, these jets have already circled the globe 1,000 times, making deals in the milliseconds between your blinks. And these jets are all flown by AI. So what does this actually feel like for a normal person? It feels like frustration. You do everything you're told to do. You get a job, you set up a budget, you automatically transfer $100 from your paycheck into an investment account. You buy an S&P 500 index fund because everyone says that's the safest, smartest bet. You're playing by the rules. And then, one day, the market drops 3% out of nowhere. You check the news, there's no major crisis, no big event, nothing. So why did your retirement savings just take a huge hit? You ask a financial expert and they'll give you some vague answer about market volatility or investor sentiment. But that's not the real reason. The real reason is that two massive competing AIs on the other side of the world probably got into a microscopic trading war over a stock you've never even heard of, which caused a ripple effect, which triggered another algorithm to sell off $1 billion of assets, which spooked another AI and another, all in the span of a few seconds. You, the human, are just a tiny boat getting tossed around in the wake of these giant robot battles. You didn't do anything wrong. You owned a great collection of the world's best companies, but you still lost money because you were playing a game of long-term value in an arena that is now dominated by short-term speed. This is the silent stress that millions of us feel. It's the feeling of being powerless. You watch your balance go up and down with a knot in your stomach. You start to think maybe you're just bad with money. Maybe you should have sold yesterday or bought more last week. You start trying to guess the market's next move, trying to outsmart it. But you can't outsmart something that is making a million calculations for every one thought you have. You can't outrun something that moves at the speed of light. The system isn't just working against you, it's operating at a level that humans are no longer equipped to compete in. So, what are these AIs actually doing? They're engaged in something called high-frequency trading, or HFT. It sounds complicated, but let's break it down into 3 really simple parts. Part 1 is speed. We're not talking about a fast internet connection. We're talking about a level of speed that is almost philosophical. These trading firms spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build their data centers just a few feet closer to the stock exchange's main computer. Why? Because if their signal gets there a few nanoseconds, that's a billionth of a second, faster than their competitors, they win. It's like this. Imagine you and a friend are in a race to press a button, but your friend is standing right next to the button and you're on the moon. That's the kind of speed advantage we're talking about. Part 2 is information. While you might read 1 or 2 news articles about a company before deciding to invest, an HFT algorithm can read every news article, every company report, every presidential tweet, and every financial blog post on the entire internet simultaneously. It processes all of this information in a fraction of a second to predict whether a stock will go up or down by a fraction of a cent in the next fraction of a second. They see the raindrop before it ever leaves the cloud. And this brings us to part 3, which is the most important part. Tiny profits, billions of times. And to understand this, let's use a metaphor. Imagine your savings account is a big bucket of water. These HFT algorithms aren't trying to kick your bucket over and spill all the water at once. That's too obvious. Instead, they use their advantages in speed and information to poke a microscopic hole in the bottom of the bucket. They buy a stock for $10.0001 and sell it to you for $10.0002. A meaningless profit, a single drop of water. You wouldn't even notice it's gone. But now imagine they do this a billion times a day to millions of people just like you. Drop by drop by drop, your bucket gets lighter and their bucket gets fuller. This is the game. Not one big score, but trillions of tiny scrapes happening every single day of every single second. When you understand this, when you truly see how the game is being played, it can feel hopeless. How can you ever win against a super fast, all-knowing robot that's designed to scrape value from the system? Well, here is the key insight, the secret that turns this entire dynamic on its head. You don't. You don't try to play their game. The moment you try to play the game of speed, of timing the market, of buying today and selling tomorrow, you have already lost. You've stepped onto their racetrack with your horse and buggy. This isn't your fault. Let me repeat that because it's important. Feeling stressed about the market, feeling like you're doing something wrong, is not a personal failure. It's the result of trying to apply old world logic to a new world system. It's like being angry at yourself for not being able to fly by flapping your arms. You just weren't built for it. The AI has one fundamental weakness. It has no concept of the future. It only knows right now, this nanosecond. It can't understand human creativity. It can't understand long-term vision. It doesn't know the difference between a company that's building the future of humanity and one that just had a slightly better than expected earnings report. To the AI, it's all just numbers. And in that weakness lies your single greatest advantage. So, how do you use that advantage? How do you move from being a victim of the system to someone who can use it for their own long-term success? It comes down to 3 simple actions: what to stop doing, what to start doing, and what to understand. First, and this is the most important, you need to stop checking your portfolio every day, or every week, or even every month. Every time you look at that number, you are plugging yourself back into the AI's short-term game.
You're letting its meaningless nanosecond to nanosecond volatility affect your human emotions. And human emotions, fear and greed, are what cause us to make terrible decisions, like selling everything at the bottom of a crash or piling all our money in at the peak of a bubble. You have to unplug. Second, you need to start playing a game the AI is incapable of playing, the long game. Instead of thinking in days, you must think in decades. The AI is trying to guess if a stock will go up by a penny in the next second. You should be asking, is this a company I believe will be bigger, stronger, and more important 10 or 20 years from now? The best way to do this is through simple, automated investing, a fixed amount every single month into a low-cost, broad market index fund, rain or shine. This is called dollar-cost averaging, and it makes you immune to the AI's daily noise. Finally, you must understand that volatility is now a permanent feature of the market. It's not a bug, it's the weather. The crazy swings, the sudden drops, the unexplainable rallies, this is just the digital exhaust created by thousands of competing algorithms. Your job is not to predict the weather. Your job is to build a strong, sturdy ship, a well-diversified, long-term portfolio, and simply ignore the forecast. Stop trying to navigate the storm and just trust that your ship is built to sail through it. So, let's bring this all together. The stock market is no longer a human game of long-term value, but a machine game of short-term speed. And the only way for a human to win is to refuse to play. When you understand this, when you truly see how the game is being played, everything changes. Fear becomes boring. Confusion becomes clarity. You realize that the daily gyrations of the market have almost nothing to do with you and your long-term goals. You take your power back, not by trying to be smarter than the machines, but by choosing to operate on a timeline they can't even comprehend. You play the human game. If this video helped you see the world of money a little differently, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We release a new animated documentary every week, breaking down the hidden systems that control our financial lives. In our next video, we're going to explore the secret group that actually decides what things cost at the grocery store. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching.